Chapter 3. From Gathering to Growing Food. Last class, we learnt about hunter-gatherers, how they hunted animals and gathered fruits and roots for food. In today's class, we're going to learn how people started practicing agriculture and herding animals. So we have also seen there were some slight changes in the environmental conditions which led to the development of grasslands. So the beginning of farming and herding. With the development of grassland, people came to know about growing wheat and barley, rice, etc. in the different parts of the subcontinent. This is how they started farming. People also attracted and then tamed wild animals by leaving food for them near their shelters. So the first animal to be tamed was of course the wild ancestor of a dog. Animals such as sheep, goat, cattle, they lived in herds. The most of them ate grass. Often people protected these animals from the attacks of other wild animals. So this is how they became herders. A new way of life. People had to stay in the same place for a longer time now, looking after the plants, watering, weeding, driving away animals and birds from them, till the grain ripened. Then they started thinking of storing the grain for food and seeds. They began making large clay pots or wove baskets or dug pits into the ground. Storing animals. Animals that are reared can be used as a store of food. That's how they began storing animals. Towards a settled life. From being a hunter-gatherer, people slowly started moving towards a settled life. How do we know this? Archaeologists have found traces of huts or houses at some sites, which shows that people have a stable life. They have also found cooking earths both inside and outside the huts, which suggests that depending on the weather, people used to cook food either indoors or outdoors. Stone tools. They have found many stone tools which were different from the earlier Paleolithic tools, which are now called as Neolithic. Can you recall what is Neolithic? These include tools that were polished to give a fine cutting edge, and mortars and pestles. Mortars and pestles are still used for grinding grains, right? Apart from these tools, some of the tools were made of bones. Many kinds of earthen pots have also been found. These were used for decoration and for storing things. People also began weaving cloth using different kinds of material, like cotton. A closer look. Living and dying in Mehrgarh. Mehrgarh was one of the places where people learned to grow barley and wheat, and rear sheep and goats for the first time. At this village, many animal bones were found. Other finds in Mehrgarh include remains of square or rectangular houses. When people die, their relatives and friends pay respect to them. The dead person was buried with goats, which were probably meant to serve as food in the next world. Interesting, right? Several burial sites have been found at Mehrgarh. Tribes. Who are tribes? Usually 2 or 3 generations who lived together in a settlement or a village were called as tribes. Most families were related to one another. Usually, women did most of the agriculture work, including preparing the grounds, sowing seeds, looking after or growing plants and harvesting grain. Children often looked after plants by driving away animals and birds that might eat them. Women also thresh, husk and grind grains. Men usually led large herds of animals in search of pasture. Children often took care of small flocks. Cleaning of the animals and milking is done by both men and women. Both men and women made pots, baskets, tools and huts. They also took part in singing and dancing. Some men were regarded as leaders. They may be old and experienced or young or brave. Old women were also respected for their wisdom and experience. Tribes have rich and unique cultural traditions, including their own language, music, stories, and paintings. They also have their own gods and goddesses. What makes tribes different from other societies, which you will be studying later? Land, forest, grasslands, and water are regarded as the wealth of the entire tribe, and everybody shares and uses these together. There are no sharp differences between the rich and the poor. A closer look at Darjali Herding. This is the site on the hills near the Brahmaputra Valley, close to the routes leading into China and Myanmar. Here, stone tools including the mortars and pestles have been found. This indicates that people were probably growing grain and preparing food from it. Other finds including jadeite, a stone that may have been brought from China. Also, common are the finds of tools made of fossil wood. What are fossil wood? So, fossil wood are ancient wood that has hardened into a stone, and pottery were also been found. And there were traces of pottery that has been found in this site. Thank you.